The inventory class now this is going to be covering the inventory cleaning up your departments, changing the departments, fixing descriptions, and being able to really work with your inventory and using inventory browse to most effectively. So what I want to show you is that we've looked at our inventory. We see that we have some things that need to be fixed, and we're simply going to open up inventory browse. When we open up inventory browse, this is all your inventory. You're going to see you have the ability to look at two sides of your inventory. You're able to, what's important when you're looking at your inventory is to not only be looking at part number, but also your part number, your description, your alternate number if you're looking at tires. And with browse, you're able to move your screens around, just like if I want to see average cost, I can move that column around. I want to look at line code. So what I'm going to recommend, and I've got a setup that we use, is that we move line code all the way to the front. And all I'm simply doing is just grabbing it to where you're seeing the two dots, and I'm grabbing what I want to move, and then I'm moving it to the spot that I want to move it. And if you look down here at the bottom, it says Save Layout, Restore Layout, Default Layout, and Print. So in the case is you're going to want to set up your layout the way you want to look at. I'll spend a little bit more time on that. I wanted to show you that. It takes a little bit to set this all up, but once you've set it all up, you're going to go to Save Layout, and then you're going to just put a name, and we're going to say Inventory Setup. And then that saves the layout. That way you don't have to be moving columns around every time you go back into Browse. Now in this particular case, just to start over, I'm going to start with Browse, and then I want to go ahead and restore a layout. And then I'm just simply going to set up, I'm going to restore the inventory setup. So I click on Restore, and then what you're going to see, and I'm going to go ahead and blow it up, is that I have laid out the columns as department, as line code, part number, description, alternative number, supplier, what status it is, on-hand quantity, reorder level, stocking level, number sold, average cost, selling price, and then any fees. So the fee type and then the fee amount. So I can move anything around. This gives me the basics of what I want to set up. So in this case, on the top of each header, you have the ability to right-click, and you have the ability to sort. You have the ability to, so if I just clicked on sort, it's just simply going to put it in alphabetical order. So it's going to put the numbers at the top and any blank spots at the top. If I right-click again, it's going to hit reset. So in the case, let's just say I wanted to look at air filters. I could go to Filter. In this case, I could go, and I always recommend using begins with. And I'm simply going to type in air. And then this is going to bring up anything that starts with an air filter. Now you can see right here that I got an air filter that's in a fuel filter department. You can see the line codes right here. This is why it's critical to understand who you can see this is a ton of non-stock parts. So if these are parts I want to get rid of, I can, I need to do a backup first, but I can just highlight it and hit delete, and that part is gone. So you need to be real careful here. But you can only delete one part at a time. If a department was not correct, I could drop this down, and I could go ahead and put it in the filter department. So this allows me to change the supplier. You can notice I was using factory motor parts as my air filters. Now I'm using Pro Auto parts as my primary. You'll notice that the line code for Pro is different than the line code from factory. So this is how it does the cataloging in SmartyCat and Smart Cataloging. So this is why it's important that the part number and the line code match what it's looking up in your inventory. Otherwise, it cannot see your inventory, nor when you go to close it may find a part number and the line code doesn't match, but when you close the invoice, it won't remove it from inventory because there's either no line code there or the line code one doesn't match. So if your inventory is not working correctly 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's because the line code is not set up correctly for that part number and that supplier. So in the case of blank suppliers, I'm just going to go ahead and right-click here and hit reset, and that just simply puts everything back. So if I wanted to say, well, I really only want to deal with my stocking parts, I could say I want to filter. I could say equal to stock. And then this is, let me reset that. And this is why it's important. And I may state, in this case, I'm just simply going to say begins with. And that's didn't like that. So let me reset that. Now I can go in and sort this, and you can see the consigned, you can see non-stock and stock. I can sort it again, and it would bring up all my stocking items there. A little bit too much to work with when you're looking at all your parts. So what I always recommend is let's work on one department at a time or one grouping at a time. So in this case, if I wanted to go to description and I wanted to start with my air filters, I'm simply going to filter. I'm simply going to go with begins with air filter, and then this simply brings up all my air filters. Now here let's say I want to separate my air filters into air filter. I want to put it in the filter group or the maintenance group, but I would like to know in reporting how many air filters I sold, and I'd like to be able to just count my air filters as air filters. Well, this is where you can go into departments and change the department and set up an air filter department. So I can simply very quickly just go in and change all my air filters to the air filter department. What you're going to find that we recommend in best practices is we like to have air filters to be air filters, cabin air filters to be cabin air filters, fuel filters to be fuel filters. Then you have a catch-all for all your other transmission filters. Just call them filters. And then the reason I would like to separate oil filters is because oil filters, you usually don't make your margins. And then when you start looking at fluids and fluid levels, another thing is I like to separate your fluids into groups, into different departments. Like your oil should be a different department than transmission fluid and your coolant. That way you're being able to see, and then I can group oil filters and my oil together and actually see how many oil filters that we sold, and I can match that up. So again, it gets down to what works best for your particular service center. Again, what I want to show you is how easy it is to go in and fix the department, fix the description, so you can change the description. You can change a part number here, and anything that you change the part number here will follow with all the sales history and everything you can do here. The biggest thing is updating your line codes. So also being able to go in and so doing all your enhancements you're updating, understanding, being able to right-click. If I wanted to just search a particular part number, I could do that and do a search. If I wanted to, or search in that column, again, most of the time you'll be using the sort, or you'll be using the filter, or you'll be doing the reset. The reset simply puts everything back. If I wanted all my blank departments at the top, I would simply just hit sort, and now I'm looking at all my blank departments. So I can real quickly go in and fix up all my lamps and my bulbs, especially the ones that are stocking items, and I can just go in and fix them and put them under electrical or lamps and bulbs. Again, I would want to break down. I don't have a lamps and bulbs department, but to me, you need to think through what works best for your business. In this case, I'll go ahead and put it under electrical, and you're able to clean up your inventory items, clean up how they look, what your descriptions are, And anything that you'd want to do here, just like this cleaner is misspelled, I can go ahead and you'll notice that you only have so much room to work with, so you're able to go in and do your cleanups based on your descriptions, based on your part numbers. Then you can also fix your alternative numbers and your descriptions. If I wanted to filter out just a supplier, you can see that I've got suppliers that are missing. So if I wanted again sort based on that, then it simply would show me anybody I don't have a supplier to. So again, I'm going to go ahead and click on reset. Again, if I wanted to filter and I just simply wanted to say I want to look at just all my Pro Auto parts, then I can just pull up just all my Pro Auto parts, and then I can look and see which is stock and non-stock, and I can do my cleanup in my inventory browse. So the inventory browse is certainly a place where you can go in, you can look at on hand. Let me just go back here. I'm going to reset this, or I can filter this to oil filters. Oops, let me just go ahead and reset this, and I'm going to filter this to begins with oil filters. And what you're going to see here is I'm able to go in and look at my reorder level, my stocking level, and I can and my quantity on hands. In this case, I want to look at stocking items. And then for my stocking items, I can go in and clean up. I want to reorder. See, this is a 1 and a 0. Actually, I want this column to be backwards, so I'm going to just go ahead and change that. So I can see the stocking and reorder. So again, I want a 1-to-1. So if I sell it, I want to order it. So I can just clean up all my reorder levels and my stocking levels on the Browse Inventory screen. So again, the Browse Inventory screen lets me do manage and move around the columns, go in and make the changes. The only thing you can't change in Browse is the quantity on hand. So this is the inventory browse, using the inventory browse and being able to go in and clean up your inventory, delete parts, add, and then change your suppliers or your departments or clean up your line codes. That's what you would do in your inventory browse feature.